everyone, it's been a while since I made a video for YouTube. I have been posting some on Vimeo because there's the What About Me ME group on Vimeo, and I've been posting stuff on there, and I have to admit I've been a bit amiss with my YouTube page. At this moment in time I'm not exactly 100%, not that I'm ever 100%, but managed to catch a cold last week, and it went to my chest and set my asthma on. So at the moment I'm on a whole load of oral steroids to try to bring my asthma under control. But I thought I'd make a quick video because some things have sort of developed more in terms of my attitude to my illness. I think I may have mentioned this last time, but I'm not certain. But I've always been a little bit, it's just, shall we say, suspicious of talking about managing my illness because of all the nonsense that comes from the Wesley school about it all being psychological. But the thing is that I haven't been managing my illness very well at all, and I've been going through a constant push and crash cycle. In fact, I never really, I mean, I do have, as you know, I have occasional times when I'm reasonably well, but I'm never brilliant, and I just keep pushing and pushing and crashing, making myself worse and worse. So I've been reading quite a lot of stuff by Charles Lapp and another guy called Bruce Campbell, who they run together. They run an online self-management course for people with MECFS. So I've been looking at that, and one or two of the things have been quite helpful. The first was the use of a heart rate monitor, and that's something I've started, although since being ill I've had to stop it because my medications interfere with my heart rate, so I can't get a proper reading anyhow. But basically the idea is to try to stay within your anaerobic threshold. And it's based on some research that was done in Pacific Fatigue Labs a few years ago by Stacey Stevens, I believe the name of the person is. And they found that people with ME on the second day, when they reach their anaerobic threshold much quicker on the second day of testing, and this leads to more post-exertional malaise if they go over it. So the idea is to wear a heart monitor to stay within your anaerobic threshold. It's really helpful in pacing because you can tell if you do too much. My heart rate monitor has an alarm that goes off if I go over it. And you work your I'll leave a link to the site, but you work your anaerobic threshold out by finding 60% of your maximum heart rate, and it's all worked out by maximum heartbeat rate is worked out by 225 minus your age, and to get your 60% you times the minus your age number by 0.60, and that will give you your rough anaerobic threshold, and it is only rough. You do need to have the proper test to know for certain. Mine works out about 102 beats a minute. Now that's quite difficult because I can be lying down. This has been the interesting thing since I've been doing it. I found I can be lying down and my heartbeats can go down to 65 beats a minute, which is really, really good. But usually around about 75, 80, something like that. But on standing, it will go up to 102 just by standing, which puts me over my anaerobic threshold almost immediately. If I walk to the kitchen, which literally is about 5 yards, it'll go up to 120. So it's quite a challenge to stay within this anaerobic threshold, but it is a very useful tool. Dr. Lapp even recommends it for people who are bedbound, because if they can find their threshold. They can, even the helpers and that can see when they need to stop, because basically when you reach your anorectic threshold you need to sit down or stop what you're doing and relax and allow your heart rate to go back to normal. That's the idea. Now if mine was on now it would probably be going through the roof, so probably not doing myself any favours at the moment. So that's one thing that I'm doing, although that's had to come to a halt until this chest infection and my asthma is finally under control again. The other thing that they suggest using is a pedometer. Now I found that quite useful, and you can pick them up very cheap. I found it interesting in that just during my day-to-day things like going to the kitchen, going to the loo, just those sort of general things you have to do throughout the day. I managed to clock up about 1,400 steps a day. Dr. Lapp recommends that someone with ME should stay beneath, I think he says 2,000 steps a day. And it depends on the severity, but he recommends that you try to at least, if you can, do 1,000 a day to maintain some type of strength in your muscles. So that's been interesting as well, and I have found if I go over 2,000 a day that I do notice even more symptom increase the next day. So both of those things have been helpful. So as you can see, I've sort of accepted the ME/CFS diagnosis the best I can, although there will always be nagging doubts, as I've said many times before. And trying to manage things a lot better, but of course things like illnesses that you weren't expecting come along, and all good plans end up in the bin for a little while. But anyhow, yeah, so I'm feeling quite positive. None of this is guaranteed to make me better. It's not about getting better, although that would be lovely. And there is some evidence to suggest the better you manage your ME, the more progress towards normality you make. I don't mean that some people do get completely well, but there's no guarantee, but because there's often a ceiling that you can't get past. But there is that possibility of having some stability, or the best amount of stability properly that you can have, and I think that's what I'm now trying to aim for. I don't like the whole idea of boom and bust. It's used so often in the UK, because it sounds like one day that you're absolutely unable to do anything, the next day you run around doing everything, and then you bust again, and then you boom, and it's never like that. I mean, apart from those very few times when I've had real, almost complete remission for a few days, never have I had, is there a case of running around one day, not being able to do anything the next, because it's usually just push, 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 and then crash. And even when you're doing much, it's because you're pushing too hard. So anyhow, I've spoken for long enough, and my voice is going to go completely. And I will speak to you, no doubt, sometime in the near future. Bye for now.